All right, welcome back to the 643 podcast. I'm your host, AJ Peterson, and today I'll be joined again by my good friend, Adam Ellenberger. He's going to become a regular on this show, especially here in the summer now that I'm out of school at ASU. We have a little bit more time on our hands, and we're going to start uploading once to twice a week. So thank you again for joining me, Adam.
We're excited, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this, and the summer's about to be great.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a good time. Be sure to tune in on YouTube and soon to come on Apple Podcasts if we can get it on there. So keep tuning in. We're gonna get this show on the road.
Big things ahead for us.
Big things ahead. Don't sleep on the 643 podcast. But today we have a good slate. Good couple things we wanted to talk about. Last week in MLB was, of course, a very eventful week with probably the most eventful series, the Dodgers versus the Padres. Again, this is a great rivalry that is beginning to take shape this season with possibly two of the best teams in the MLB for sure, facing off 19 times this season. They just wrapped up their second series, this time at Dodger Stadium, and boy, oh boy, it was an eventful series to say the least.
Dude, the Padres took 3 out of 4. I mean, we can just start there. That's massive. I think that them going up to LA and getting that job taken care of that's going to really push them to start to get things rolling for them, because I know that they've come out of the gates a little bit slow. But I mean, Tatis put on a show. The pitching was just absolutely clinical with Darvish and Kershaw and Trevor Bauer and Dustin May. Every single arm we saw, there was just so much quality. And I mean, two best teams in baseball going at it 19 times a year. The MLB can't be happier with that. So
no, for sure. I mean, one thing I'm already noticing early in the season, I mean, these games have a playoff feel to them. You know, Everyone's tuning in. You can't miss it with Trevor Bauer facing off against Tatis. You got Mookie Betts laying out and making game-winning catches.
Right.
You got the Dodgers winning by 5 runs or something in the 12th inning. Every game so far has just been an absolute nail-biter. Everyone's tuning in. And it's got a playoff-type atmosphere to it already with limited fans in the stands in April. This is April baseball we're talking about, and typically you don't have this kind of attention on baseball when you have the NBA season winding down, and you know it's the beginning of the MLB season where not too many fans are tuning in and giving it this type of attention early on.
There was history that happened too on Sunday Night Baseball. The Padres came back 7-1. I know that lit up some fireworks across the just media and stuff like that, you know. So, dude, there were so many headlines that just left and right from that series. It was just, honestly, the MLB can't ask for more, because it just seemed like with every single game, every single inning, that there was always something that was going on I was seeing on Twitter, seeing on Instagram, and, you know, this is exactly what we need. Yeah,
exactly. And like you said, there were a couple storylines that headlined the weekend with the Dodgers-Padres series. I think the biggest one, of course, was the matchup between Trevor Bauer and Fernando Tatis Jr. with the fireworks that went off there. And I think, again, this is fantastic for baseball with Trevor Bauer and Tatis and the things that we were seeing. Of course, Fernando Tatis Jr., he hit 2 home runs in that game off of Trevor Bauer. Mm-hmm. On the first one, when he was rounding first, he turned back to his dugout, covered his one eye in reference to Trevor Bauer closing his eye against the Padres in spring training,
right,
pitching against them. And then you got him doing the McGregor walk after he crosses home plate. You got him just going crazy with his teammates and stuff. And it got a lot of reaction around the league with players, with fans, with Tatis and Trevor Bauer themselves not necessarily going at it, but having a little conversation on Twitter and in the media. And again, with Trevor Bauer, his career is just taking off right now with his YouTube presence, with his vlogs, his social. He's really just trying to market himself right now, and it's truly working. He's, of course, got a huge contract with the Dodgers, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Mm-hmm. Mickey Mouse Cy Young Award winner, self-proclaimed, right? As he self-proclaimed last year with the Cy Young Award with the Cincinnati Reds. And then you got Fernando Tatis Jr., who's one of the most prolific, exciting young players in the game right now, who's also got a huge brand and just got a ginormous contract extension with the Padres.
Definitely.
So this matchup and these fireworks going off with him hitting home runs, showboating at each other a little bit. You know, it's drawing fans to the game, and as Trevor Bauer said, he said it best. He had no problem with Fernando Tatis Jr. doing stuff like this because ultimately it's bringing more fans to the game. It's bringing more attention to the game. People are more excited for baseball, and he, again, like Tatis, he looked at his dugout and was doing all this kind of stuff. He wasn't looking directly at Trevor Bauer and showing him up or anything like that. So it was truly just celebration and bringing more excitement into the game.
Right. I think that so far from this MLB season, that this particular event, that all what transpired in that game is probably the biggest win-win for the Dodgers, for the Padres, and for baseball. I mean, you have Tatis, who's taking on the persona of becoming the face of the MLB. You got, Trevor Bauer, like you just explained. Seems like the whole world's just on his shoulders, and he's managing to carry it with him. And you got these two teams that are starting to form this rivalry that's just you have to watch it. You have to tune in. Everybody's clicking into it. There was just so much good feedback too, and I think that Trevor Bauer just handling it all with so much class and respect. That's only going to help to just make the game even develop and go further. And I think it's like I was really just super happy to see everything that happened with it. I love Tatis. I don't love the Dodgers, so of course I love what happened there. But I think that the reaction from Bauer just goes to show that, all of this is possible. This is what the future of baseball is. It's here. And there's just so much in store. And, this is exactly what we need.
Yeah, you got to give props to Trevor Bauer, like you were saying, for the way that he reacted to the whole situation in the media. Mm-hmm. The media after the game, they kind of, they wanted to get that one-liner response from him where he was mad at Tatis for showing him up, where he was mad at Tatis for possibly peeking in and seeing the sign before he hit that home run to left center field on the slider that was off the plate. But he was truly professional about the way he went and responded to these questions. He said that it's good for baseball. I have no problem with what he was doing because he was celebrating with his teammates. He wasn't showing me up in any way.
Right.
And we're competitors. If I strike him out, I'm going to celebrate. If he hits a home run off me, he's going to celebrate. That's what we deserve. If we win the battle, we have the right to celebrate. Of course, we can't cross the line to where we're showing the other person up, but we have the right to celebrate with ourselves, celebrate with our teammates. And I don't see any problem with this. Trevor Bauer came out and said that pitchers who end up throwing at guys for hitting home runs and flipping the bat and all that kind of stuff, showing them up, he called them soft. And I agree. I think Trevor Bauer in this sense, in this way, he's being the bigger man. He's being professional. He's taking it the right way and just kind of biting the bullet.
Yeah, like going along with what you said there at the end, 10 years ago we totally would have seen Tatis get thrown at. People would have been going for his helmet.
I think even today we would. Just it depends on the pitcher.
Yeah,
depends on the player.
Honestly, right.
Think of Hunter Strickland, for example, with Bryce Harper.
Yeah, 100%.
That stuff is still happening today. It's just Trevor Bauer is starting to realize that there's another way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think that this is the way that I think it's what needs to be done. I don't think that just purposely hurting somebody just because they did their job and they're having some fun with it, needs to warrant in something that's like that. And he went back and forth jokingly with Fernando Tatis on Twitter after I saw that, and that in itself was really cool. And even Eric Hosmer, he gave him his respects too on Twitter, because he replied to one of the videos about it. And this is exactly what we need. I don't know if there's much more else to say from myself, at least, other than it was really cool just to see all that happen, because I know that the baseball community has been pushing towards a more fun game and a more fun environment, and this is exactly what you need from the two best teams in baseball. 100%.
And maybe switching gears a little bit, but staying on the same topic of the Dodgers-Padres series, when we talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. and this series that he had against the Dodgers, so far this season, the hype coming into the season was Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, all these young players in the National League, especially this year, and what kind of numbers they're gonna put up. And early in the season, Fernando Tatis Jr. was in Ronald Acuna Jr.'s shadow a little bit because Acuna got off to such a good start. Tatis got hurt, and all this stuff. But now Tatis, after this series, he kind of put himself back on the map again. He had 5 home runs in 3 games
against the best pitching.
Against the best pitching, against the best team on the biggest stage. He had back-to-back games where he had 2 home runs in each game, which is crazy. One really cool stat was, I think it was 23 years to the day that his dad at Dodger Stadium hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. And that's the first, 23 years to the day where his father hit 2 home runs in the game at Dodger Stadium, and then he goes out and does it himself. And this series really just put Fernando Tatis Jr. back on the map. It seems like he's starting to get hot. His defense is still struggling a little bit coming off the DL. He has the most errors in the MLB. But as he gets more reps, that should correct itself.
Right. I remember hearing A-Rod talk about it on Sunday Night Baseball too, that the more reps he gets and the more, just the more time he gets with that, everything will start to play out like how he usually does. But I tell AJ all the time, I love Fernando Tatis. It's tough because I'm a D-backs fan, but it's like I love this dude. He might be my favorite player to watch right now. But it's not even a discredit to the other players that are in this series, like Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Manny Machado. It's just more so of a credit to how good that Fernando Tatis really is, because this is who he is. This is what he does, and he definitely did get off to a slow start, but 5 home runs in 3 days off of, 2 guys who've won 4 or 5 Cy Youngs combined and an MVP.
Right.
This dude he's all that and more. And I think baseball is in such good hands with him. You got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Ronald Acuna, Juan Soto, but the future is so bright for this kid, and he has to be doing this if the Dodgers are going to win a World Series.
100%. And on that same note of Fernando Tatis Jr. being possibly the most exciting player in baseball, one of the best players in baseball, there was a video that MLB put out on Twitter recently, I think today or yesterday, where the media asked a few of MLB's best players like Bryce Harper, Trevor Bauer, Mike Trout, Aaron Hicks, I think was in it, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They all asked who's the most exciting player in baseball to watch right now. And all of them in the video said Fernando Tatis Jr. And I think, again, that just goes to show the kind of personality he's bringing, the level of play he's bringing, especially it's getting the players' attention, the best players in the league's attention, and they have no problem with the way he's acting with the bat flips, with covering his eye, rounding first, with the little pause before he hits third base, any of that stuff. It's just exciting to watch.
Right, and I haven't seen the YouTube video. I'll go and watch it too after this, but he's taken a small market team like the Padres, who have really been one of the worst teams in baseball for the last 10 to 12 years-ish, and he's put them up to being a top 3 team in the league within a year. And granted, I know what they've done with their roster and how talented their GM is and stuff, but he's been the catalyst of it all, and I can't believe how good he already is and what the future holds for him.
Yeah. Staying on the same topic of, the kind of guys where you walk past the screen and you have to stop and watch their at-bat, no matter what the score is, no matter how bad you have to go to the bathroom or how hungry you are or anything. You got the guys like Tatis, Acuna now, Mike Trout, Bo Jackson back in the day was one for sure.
Definitely.
How about Shohei Ohtani? Yesterday, the Angels were playing the Texas Rangers, and it was the first time in 100 years since 1921 that there was a pitcher making a start on the mound who was at the same time leading the league in home runs. Shohei Ohtani was tied with multiple players for the lead league in home runs with 7, and he started on the mound yesterday against the Texas Rangers, and he's the first person in, like I said, in 100 years since 1921 to do that, and the last person to do that, of course, was Babe Ruth, the pitcher-hitter phenom back in the day. And, Ohtani kind of got off to a bumpy start against the Rangers yesterday. He gave up a 3-run home run and another run in the first inning, blocked a couple batters, hit a batter in the first inning, so it looked, a little rocky to start. But he finished the game with just those 4 earned runs with 9 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched. Again, his strikeouts per inning is incredible right now. I think he has about almost 2 strikeouts per inning, which is incredible for the small sample size he's putting out. And he also went 2 for 3 with an RBI double and a bunt single.
I mean, dude, all the hype is coming. It's here. I see videos of him daily on Barstool, on Bleacher Report, on ESPN, from AJ. I mean, he really is perfect for baseball. Like I since Babe Ruth, have we seen a two-way player? Like a two-way player, but also a guy who can do it at elite levels on both sides. I mean, I don't think we have. I don't know.
No, I don't. No, I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, no. I mean, if we can, or if somebody can, then let us know. But no, as a hitter, he's so talented. He can. It seems like he can hit better to the opposite side of the field better than he can like his pull side. Which, I mean, nowadays that's insane. That just goes to show truly how good of a hitter he is. Not just to be able to only jack up home runs and the low average, but the fact that he's willing to go to all sides of the field. He just came off of Tommy John, but he's still throwing 100 miles an hour. He can throw 5 to 7 different pitches. Like he seriously, I think he's the MVP right now. I know.
Whoa, okay, that's a conversation to have. Here we go.
Stirring the pot a little bit. No,
yeah.
But I think that he's been the American League catalyst so far for just headlines, the news. He seriously is all that, just like I was saying with Tatis. He is all that, and it's really cool that he's showcasing all these talents this year.
100%. On that MVP conversation, of course, with myself being an Angels fan, maybe a little biased, but I don't think this year the bias has anything to do with who the top 2 candidates for MVP in the American League are.
Right.
I mean, like we've said in the last episode, the American League is pretty weak when it comes to, the teams as well as award winners, possible award winners this season compared to the NL. Because the NL, you got players like Tatis, Acuna, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper's having a great year. And pitchers, you got DeGrom, Scherzer, Strasburg, all these guys, all these big name guys in the NL. But AL is a little bit weaker when it comes to the star power, at least right now. But the 2 favorites for MVP right now are unquestionably Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. I saw the other day that they just released new odds for the AL MVP winners for the rest of the year, and Mike Trout's got plus 200 odds, and Shohei Ohtani is the second closest with plus 1,000 odds. So according to Vegas right now, Mike Trout's the runaway favorite, which he should be, in my opinion. He's hitting over 400. He's got 6 home runs and 1,300 OPS, slugging 800, on base percentage over 500. He's having an incredible year, which is something he really doesn't do to start off the year quite often. Of course, he's a Hall of Fame player, multiple MVP winner, but he never really gets off to scorching starts like this to start the season. But Ohtani, again, if Shohei Ohtani stays healthy, if he pitches, let's say 100 innings and has a mid-3, low-3 ERA, if he hits 280, 20-plus home runs, which, of course, he's more than on track for right now, I think he should finish top 2, top 3 MVP.
Right, and honestly, like, if that for me in itself, I think warrants MVP, but if Trout continues this, and if Trout, like, ends up having the best season he's had in his career, then, it's going to be a slam dunk for him. But if it's at a case where Ohtani's at 280, 290, 300. He's got himself around 3 ERA. He's got a lot of strikeouts. I think just that dimension of having it be on both sides is just nobody else does it, Mm-hmm. Regardless, I think that both of them being on the same team and both of them being at this level right now is it's going to set up for some fireworks down here, in the summer and the fall. So I'm excited to see how this plays out.
It's going to make for an exciting AL West race, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The Astros are starting to turn it on. The A's have won 14 of the last 15 games. The Mariners are off to a scorching start. The Rangers are the Rangers so far.
Right.
But it's going to be a very competitive AL West, and like we said in our season predictions show, I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a 3-dog race. Personally, I don't think the Mariners are going to last. I think the A's, the Angels, and the Astros are all going to have something to play for come September.
I think I know we're gonna hit on this here in a minute with the underdogs and everything, but I think with the Mariners, I think that they're incredibly fundamental on defense. They might be the best team defensively in baseball, and that's going to help them a lot. But in terms of just their hitting, I mean, I saw yesterday that Mitch Haniger and it might have been Kyle Seager were like the only dudes hitting like over 250. So that won't cut it. That's just not going to cut it. And also, I think that their pitching is definitely a weaker spot for them. The thing with them is they would need to have some of these prospects get called up and just tear it up for them to really make a push at trying to get into a wild card spot. But I do think it's a matter of time before things start to settle out for them and they start to fall under 500. But it's nice for me, I guess. So no, but also I think the A's are playing out of their mind, and they do this. This is what they do every single year, so they're going to be a tough out regardless. The Astros have been playing. They've picked it up really, really, really well lately, and they're starting to get hot. And I think the Angels so far are beating up on the Rangers. So those three teams are trending upwards, and we'll see what happens. It's been a great start for the AL West so far, though.
Yeah, and it's something that that Adam and I have talked about a lot with the Mariners being Mariners and Angels fans, with Astros and A's also in the division, just the tough division that it is. It's something we talk about all the time with how it's going to play out, and it's going to be something we have to watch down to the wire to see if the Mariners truly are for real. And that's something we also wanted to talk about a little bit with, we got the Red Sox playing out of their minds, we got the Mariners playing out of their minds, we got the Royals playing out of their minds.
Even the Giants.
The Giants are, they're, I think, 3 games back from the Dodgers. They're
tied. They're 15-8.
Are they 15-8?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I know, it's crazy. I saw it today. I was like, what? They were just like 3 games out, and now it's
Yeah, I mean that's a conversation we wanted to have really briefly. Is just take each of those teams and just say which of these teams are for real, which of these teams are for real, which of them are pretenders. And I'll start. I think the Mariners are pretenders, as we've just discussed briefly. I think that their steam is going to run out eventually. I don't think they have the hitting. I don't think they have the pitching that can last through an entire season to get them into playoff spot.
Yeah, it's just not their window either.
Right. I mean, they got great prospects coming up, and Julio Rodriguez and Jared Kelenic, So the future is bright in Seattle. They just need to improve their pitching a little bit and get these prospects coming up. I just don't think it's now, 2021.
Yeah, no.
And with the Royals, they're really interesting. They beat up on the Angels pretty good when they played a couple weeks ago. Salvador Perez is playing great. This season, Denny Duffy's pitching really good. Their lineup is sneaky. It's a little scary with Whit Merrifield, and you got Benintendi, who's kind of been meh since a couple seasons ago with the Red Sox, but they do have some great pieces. Personally, I don't think this is going to last for the Royals. I think they come All-Star break, they're going to be hovering around 500, a little bit above 500. I think they're just going to run out of steam. I think the White Sox are starting to take off right now too, and I think it's their division to win. Personally,
yeah, I think too. What fascinates me is that I think so. I was looking at their roster just before we started this, and they've got, like AJ said, Salvador Perez, Whit Merrifield. They've got Carlos Santana, who's been a great signing so far. Jorge Soler. And their pitching, they've got great pieces. Danny Santana's out of his mind right now. Mike Minor was a good pickup. They've got some good pieces in the bullpen. I think their division's really is bad. You know, those teams should be able to beat up on the Tigers and the Indians. But I think it's just going to play it like the dictator for them is if they're better than the Twins, because I think it's the White Sox division too. But if they're better than the Twins, then, I mean, they could easily sneak into a second wildcard spot.
Definitely. The Twins have had a horrendous start to the 2021 season so far, too.
I haven't really been paying much attention to that division other than the Royals going crazy. But
they have really, really struggled there. I mean, right now, the Royals are 14-8, and the Twins are 7-15.
Ooh.
So
they have to start fire sale, it sounds
right.
like.
I mean, they're already 7 games back of the Royals. So, I mean, that's a tough deficit to climb back from. And you got the White Sox are a game and a half back. They're 12-9. Mm-hmm. So they're still right there, of course. But it's, you know, you could be right. Like the Royals, if they do finish second in their division, if they do finish higher than the Twins and the Indians and the Tigers, then who knows? The AL is pretty weak this year. It's definitely not out of the question that they could sneak into a wild card spot. I just don't think it will happen. Personally, I think the Twins will start to turn it on, but who can tell?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. I think just what we've been given the last few years as a representative, you know, it doesn't really favor the Royals, and I think it favors the Twins a little bit more. But I mean, the MLB, if there's one sport that gives us just the storylines and the Cinderella stories, it's baseball. So, I mean, that'll be a fun. If they could do it and pull it off, potentially win the division, that would be insane. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
Definitely, yeah. And jumping over to the AL East with the Red Sox, I think, from what I've seen with the Red Sox this season so far, I think they have a real shot of winning possibly a wild card, and I mean, I think it's a long shot for them to walk away with the division. When you got teams like the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees have gotten off to a really slow start, but we all know that their team is very, very well built top to bottom, so they'll be back. They're only 4.5 games back of the Red Sox as well. They've started 9-13, a little bit slow start, but only time will tell with the Yankees. I do think the Red Sox, however, are built very well from top to bottom. Rafael Devers is having a great year. Xander Bogaerts is Xander Bogaerts. Alex Verdugo is having a fantastic year so
really
far.
Good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's good.
He's been great for them. Good that they've got something out of the Mookie Betts David
right.
Price deal.
Makes me feel just, I guess, like a tad bit better, even so, if that, you know, about this whole Dodgers garbage, but
yeah.
it's so frustrating.
Right.
But I think the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to have a poll at the trade deadline where they're going to be able to decide what happens in that division. I think that if it's close and let's say the Red Sox are still ahead of them, then yeah, I mean, we're going to see them go all in. Max Scherzer, maybe Madison Bumgarner, maybe Sonny Gray. Those are some guys. I think for them, I really like their offense. JD Martinez has been clinical too. Kike Hernandez is a very, very valuable piece,
especially in postseason play.
Right. He'll be a wild card for them in the postseason. I think it's just the pitching. I think they've got Eduardo Rodriguez, I think he's great. You know, he's a great piece. But I think the biggest thing for them is what's going to happen with Chris Sale, because if Chris Sale, if he does come back, I haven't read much about him. I don't know when his timetable is, but if he can come back this year and be that guy, then
that's a great trade deadline acquisition right there.
Yeah, that's a dark horse right there for AL right there. So
100%. And you mentioned Madison Bumgarner, and that was also something we wanted to talk about today, was his fantastic performance on Sunday against the Braves. The Diamondbacks in general had a great doubleheader against the Braves. They shut him out both times. They gave up 1 hit in 14 innings played. But of course, Madison Bumgarner, he took all the headlines. He pitched 7 innings of no-hit baseball. But of course, there's an asterisk to the side of that. His no-hitter, or his 7 innings of no-hit baseball, will not actually be counted in the record books as a no-hitter. Adam, I can kind of hear already with the word bogus how you're feeling about that, but why is that?
So we were talking about it yesterday, but AJ said that they're not calling it a no-hitter, and I kind of told him, I'm like, So what's the point then of designate or just assigning a 7-inning game if you're not going to call, a perfect game, or a no-hitter? I mean, and he even brought up a great point. He said what they should do is they should just put an asterisk next to it and just say it's a no-hitter, but it's a 7-inning no-hitter, rather than, so it gives the guy the recognition they deserve, but it's more so of just like, he did it, but he didn't do the full thing. Whereas guys who do get the full 9-inning perfect game or the full 9-inning no-hitter, that's an accolade. Like, that's something that will go down in history and be forever remembered by their name. Regardless, though, dude, they went to Atlanta and they went and really played well against them. And I don't know if there's much hope for them, unfortunately, because of how
I know West is looking.
Yeah, how incredible their division is. But that was a really fun series. And Zach Gallen and Madison Bumgarner pitched out of their minds. And, I mean, me personally, I love Mad Bum, but I know his contract's kind of an issue. And I know if the D-backs are not in a position where they would hope to be by the trade deadline, I would hope that the D-backs can offload that and, restart. So
definitely that'd be a huge win for the D-backs. He's got 4 years left on his deal, making
Crazy.
$20+ million a year.
Yep.
So if the D-backs don't see that they're going anywhere, I don't think they're going anywhere this season. But I don't even think the next couple of years the future's looking too bright for the D-backs. So
yeah, they just don't have a good. I really trust Mike Hazen, their general manager and stuff, but they just don't have a good farm system. It's unfortunate.
Not right now. And if there is a contender, like you were saying, the Red Sox, or if the Yankees turn it on, or the Angels possibly.
The Angels, I was about to say that.
one of those teams that's on the cusp of making the playoffs or needs a true ace. And don't get me wrong, Madison Bumgarner has not pitched very well besides his 7 innings of no-hit baseball this year. But when Madison Bumgarner... When the temperature drops below 50 degrees and he's pitching in October, Madison Bumgarner is a different pitcher.
Yeah.
He's a true ace in the playoffs. He's shown that with the Giants. And it could be a very big pickup for one of those teams who needs an ace or needs that guy that can push them to the playoffs. And for the I think that'd be a win-win for both sides, especially for the D-backs getting to dump that contract and reloading their farm system. And
like you said, too, you mentioned the Red Sox, the Yankees, and Angels as right now as possible suitors for him. And those are 3 teams that, they have a window. They're going to be succeeding. They're going to be in positions to win the next few years. And ultimately, that's where a pitcher like Madison Bumgarner should be playing at, Again, going back to his 7-inning, his game, I hope that this can propel him. And I hope that it would be really, really cool if the MLB could actually, say, if they could go back on what they just said or what they just announced and be like, yes, this is a no-hitter, but, it's a Mickey Mouse no-hitter.
Right. I mean, I was watching MLB Tonight on MLB Network yesterday and listening to John Smoltz and Dan Plesac talk about it, 2 former MLB pitchers, 2 great pitchers. And John Smoltz made an interesting point. What he said really was the same thing I told Adam, how they should give Madison Bumgarner the recognition he deserves, give him the no-hitter, put an asterisk next to it, and say it was a 7-inning no-hitter, not a 9-inning no-hitter, but it still should be counted as a no-hitter. Because he wanted to give Madison Bumgarner that credit, but he didn't want to discredit the other guys who have gone out there and pitched 9 innings of no-hit baseball. It's a little bit different, of course, 2 extra innings. And the amount of perfect games and no-hitters that we've seen get lost in the 8th and the 9th inning is incredible. There's an innumerable amount of them. And
Carlos Rodon just lost his perfect game in the 9th inning.
Carlos Rodon just did it. Armando Galarraga is, of course, notorious. His is notorious. And, one thing that he mentioned, which was super interesting, of course, a totally different argument, but Pedro Martinez, at one point, he had a perfect game through 9 innings, pitched 9 innings of perfect baseball, but the score was tied 0-0, so it went to the 10th inning, and they put Pedro Martinez back out there on the mound, and he ended up losing the perfect game bid in the 10th inning, so it does not go down in MLB history as a perfect game. Even though he threw 9 innings of perfect baseball, just as all of the other perfect games were 9 innings of perfect baseball, it still doesn't go down in the record books as a perfect game because he didn't finish the deal, didn't pitch 10 innings of perfect baseball, which is, of course, much harder than 9. But it's something that the MLB, I think, should take a look at. Maybe change the rule on it, give Mad Bum that no-hitter, because if these 7-inning doubleheaders, which of course is a different argument, I don't think they should be playing 7-inning doubleheaders, but if they're going to keep going on with that, then I think they should change the rule and allow these guys to throw a no-hitter and throw an asterisk next to their name in the record books.
Right, and I agree too. Like, you designate a 7-inning game or a 9-inning game, and then anything after that is called, like, it's specifically called extra. So that's what I kind of told AJ too, I believe. Of course, it's the same game, but it's just like extra time. So it's just, I don't know. It's such a difficult argument, but I do believe that he is wronged out of a no-hitter, and hopefully this can get fixed. That would be really cool for him. But I cannot believe that they gave up 1 hit in 14 innings against that Braves offense.
Right. But what a week of baseball. We had fireworks in the Dodgers-Padres series with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Trevor Bauer. We had a no-hitter. We'll call it a no-hitter. We had 14 innings of 1-hit baseball by one team. We had Shohei Ohtani leading the league in home runs and pitching on the same day. First time that happened in 100 years. It was a great week of baseball. And to say that all those things happened in April is great for the game. And I think it's going to bring a lot of attention to the game come summertime. So I'm excited to see what happens. Adam, thanks. It's been a pleasure. Everyone, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of the 643 podcast. We'll come back at you again next week, give you an update of this week's games. This is your host, AJ Peterson, and my friend Adam Ellenberger, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you guys.